Hi there, Jamie here again, just to talk you through the question of when do we actually have to do this thing called referencing? The answer is pretty much all the time. It's something that students would do well to keep in the back of their head anytime they sit down to do a bit of research for some of your coursework, or even if you sit down to start writing your coursework, please keep it in the back of your mind that you will have to use citing and referencing appropriately. Specifically though, you will definitely need to cite and reference anytime you use someone else's work, words, or ideas from a book, from a dissertation or a thesis, or from a web page, or from other types of sources as well. It applies to quoting and paraphrasing. Some students make the mistake of only referencing the things that they have lifted directly from a web page and put into their essay, or lifted directly from a book and put into their essay. But even if you take those ideas and jumble them up into your own words, that's called paraphrasing, it's important that you remember to cite and reference those properly. You need to use referencing when you're using statistics, of course, as well, if they're not your own. And anytime you use a table, a graph, a diagram, or an image, it's important that you remember to reference where you've taken them from, unless it's yourself. Other sources would include radio programs, TV broadcasts, podcasts, interviews that you've read in magazines with people, and even if you take the ideas out of these things and pop them into your essay, you still need to use citing and referencing for them. So it is something that you need to be aware of kind of all the time, but kind of begs the question, when do we not cite and reference? Well, you don't need to cite and reference things that are classed as common knowledge. So for example, London is the capital of the United Kingdom. Most people would kind of know that. You can safely assume that would be common knowledge, so you don't need to reference that kind of fact. Each subject, of course, will have its own idea of what can be classed as common knowledge, and if you're in any doubt, you could ask your tutor for advice, but I would always urge you to reference rather than not reference. It's better to over-reference something than under-reference. And the golden rule of referencing that we all must remember is never cite something unless you have read it yourself. So even if you see a reference in a journal article, for example, you must reference the journal article that you've read. Okay, on with the sway.